Welcome to Inside Houston. I'm your co-host, Shad Bargany. And tonight we're going to be talking with Kimberley Barnes-Henson about what's happening in the black community in regards to real estate. Kimberley, welcome back to the Inside Houston.
Thank you, Shad. So glad to be here.
You know, we did a show earlier and it got wiped out with the flood.
Yes.
And so I'm so glad you had time to come back and see us. So let's talk a little bit on how did Hurricane Harvey affect home prices, home ownership here in the city of Houston?
Right now, we're a little bit early to get the full forecast of numbers, but as you know, we already had a housing shortage in the affordable section of homes. So, of course, we're feeling the pressure there, but also now we're feeling with the increase in interest rates, now we also have home prices that are inching up a little bit. Usually this time of year, we kind of expect that home prices and sales will kind of level off. We haven't really seen that because of the storm. More people are purchasing, but also we know a lot of people lost their homes too.
You know, we've talked over and over here about what's going on in the Houston real estate market with the impact of Harvey. I'm actually going to be speaking out in Kingwood next week to some residents out there in regards to how Harvey has an impact. You know, but let's drill down a little bit and talk about what these numbers and how does it impact black Houston as far as real estate goes. You know, we're only 42% in home ownership in this city, and so it's not like the majority of us own homes.
Right.
So how did this affect us as far as what you could see?
Well, the greatest part of what I see is the loss due to the loss in home ownership. I know it's going to impact the growth numbers. We're still waiting to see quite how that's going to happen. But what we know immediately is that it impacted those who currently have a home that are probably now looking at foreclosure. And I've had a lot of my clients call, and the reason I said that, I've had people who've bought over the last year or two, they don't have equity in their houses yet. They're already pinched, so they can't get the SBA or they don't qualify.
Right.
They didn't have flood insurance, so now they don't know what to do. And even though their mortgage company might have given them 3 months, but if you've got damage that you can't repair, you don't have the equity to do a renovation loan, they're looking at losing their home. So that's the biggest impact from what has recently happened that I see now with most of the people that I've spoken with, and that's the challenge that we now have to address.
Well, you know, you mentioned the delaying of the 3 months of payments. But what the mortgage company, I don't think, has really explained to everyone is that they're expecting you to have those 3 monthly payments at the end of 3 months. So it's not like they're waiving them.
Right.
They're just saying we're delaying, but you've got to have them in 3 months.
Right. So we are trying and we are advocating for something to happen and change, because if it does not, we're going to look at a lot of those people who flooded, not just African Americans, but a lot of people who flooded are finding themselves in this situation where they're going to be out of the house. So we are advocating and pleading a lot with the lenders and servicers to come up with the way to put that on the back of the mortgage. Not to have them have to come in and at the end of 3 months come up with all of this money and they're still not even back in their homes yet. They're still trying to figure out how to repair it. I think it would be in their best interest to do so, because they're looking at getting these assets back that don't yet have equity and now have thousands and thousands of dollars in damage.
You know, one of the things that this storm did for everybody is that, I say did for everybody, but it touched everyone. But this was a storm that really touched the middle and upper middle class and the high end more than it touched the lower entry level than ever before. And so maybe, Kimberley, they'll fix it now. It's now touched people who are in the decision process are able to make decisions about fixing flood here in Houston.
Well, we can remain hopeful about that, but I'm hearing a cry from a lot of those who are sitting in that position, that a lot of people think that because they're middle class or upper class by the way it looks, looking from the outside in, that these people don't have problems. A lot of them are living paycheck to paycheck. They just covered it up, Shad, and now, it's coming off. And now the mirror is reflecting, and they are pretty much in the same situation where they don't have a lot of options, and a lot of those larger homes sustain $100,000 plus in damage. And if FEMA's only paying up to $35,000, and in many cases they're not paying the max and there's no flood insurance to then cover the difference of that, they've got to get an SBA loan, or they've got to be in a position where they can do a renovation loan. And if the equity's not there, nobody's giving them a renovation loan. So they are up against the same challenges as everyone else, and I don't see a resolve for them coming anytime soon unless the servicers themselves steps in and does something about it.
Well, you know, one of the things that I've noticed is that even the people, as you say, living sort of high on the horse, so they've been able to achieve, if their credit is not there, they can't get that SBA loan. If you're renting and you got flooded, you can't get that SBA loan. All you can do is that $33,000 grant. So that's the catch-all to it all. I had a lady call me, Kimberley. She said, "Shad, you know, I'm a teacher. I've been flooded." You know, I said, "Well, what's your credit scores?" They're 500. Well, you're going to have problems getting an apartment. You're going to have problems buying a house. You can't do it. And so it seems to be something that needs to be done. And I'll tell you one last thing in regards to home ownership. Normally when we have a hurricane or a flood, they call it a natural disaster. They declare the whole area a disaster. So any affordable housing programs out there, they waive the first time home buyer deal. They did not do that requirement in this flood. And this was the worst one of all. And they did not waive that first time home buyer, which allowed down payment assistance to get involved. And so even though you have an FHA 203H, which helps them get in the house with no down payment, where you and I both know that's just one phase of the amount of money that you're going to need to maybe in to purchase a home.
I'm going to give kudos to Seth. Seth took away the limits.
Wow.
So some of those people who are in high-end homes who could not, because their income put them over the Seth guideline, they could not qualify for the Seth program. Now with the removal of that, but it's only for a period of time, with the removal of that income requirement, those people who are in the higher end can get up to 6%.
Wow.
To purchase a new home. Now, this is not going to help with renovations, but if you're walking away from a home, Chad, it's still a catch-22. Because if you've got to walk away from a home, who's going to finance you into a new one?
And the thing that's interesting, FHA or HUD has not explained that, okay, we're giving you this FHA 203H. We don't care about your old mortgage, but we're going to put you in this new house. But who pays for the old mortgage? I mean, what happens? So are we going to have a rush of foreclosures of damaged homes? So the market needs, I don't think any of this has been settled out on what's going to happen. We hear that the county is going to spend $20 million buying 200 homes. We don't know which homes are going to be. How is that going to work? Are they going to give us money for lot value or what we owe on our property? There are lots of questions that are out there in regards to Harvey. And I think the impact of Harvey is going to be here a while in the Houston real estate market. But we need organizations like Kimberley, and that I belong to, the Houston Black Real Estate Association, who's on the front line to help everybody, not just African Americans, but everybody who comes through the door to help. So let's roll into home ownership. And I started off the show to saying only 42% of Black Americans in this city own a home. Everybody, we're the last on the totem pole of home ownership. So how do we change this narrative of home ownership, and why hasn't it been a priority in our community?
Okay, I want to preference something, Shad, if you will allow me. You addressed something and he said that we're for everyone. The reason is that home ownership affects everyone regardless of color. If you are an African American, if you're Hispanic, if you're white, if you are purchasing home, you are adding value to the community and you are increasing income. Right now, Houston needs that added value. Anyone that we shut out of that market, we're shutting money out, needed money out of the community. So the home ownership rate should be a concern for everyone whenever we have one group lagging. Now, I said that, and getting back to Shad's question is, how do we now increase the African American home ownership numbers? We do that from the NARAB standpoint. Our parent organization has put out an initiative to put 2 million African Americans in the homes over the next 5 years. Houston's number, we have to increase by an additional share 4,500 over what we've done previously in order to meet our goals here in Houston. And so we do that by advocating, first of all, to change the rules regarding credit, regarding some of the additional information that after FHA says that these are the guidelines, you have the servicers come in and they add on additional layer of guidelines that FHA did not intend, that then blocks African Americans from being able to qualify for those homes. So we're advocating for policy change, and then we're doing activism. What is activism? We're actually getting out there and activating people by giving them the financial literacy tools that's needed in order to successfully purchase a home, and then we're encouraging them to take action, to actually take the step to obtain that home. So the 2 million and 5 program is going to be a way that I can see us working here in Houston to change the narrative.
You know, I've tried to figure out for many, many years why we've been so far behind on it. I was at a report the other day that 60% of the homes that are bought in Houston over the last 10 years were Hispanic buyers. 60%. It's just amazing to me. We're at all-time low interest rates. Of course, money is not as easy to get as it once was, but they've loosened the guidelines are still a little bit more to allow you to be able to purchase a home. How do we change it? And your group is doing it and trying, but we're going to need to partner with other groups to make this happen.
Absolutely. You hit it on the head with that hammer. We need partnerships. We need other relationships in order to make that happen. So we are reaching out, Chad, to our lender partners. We're reaching out to Urban League. We actually had Urban League partner with us on our last event that we did on September 16th, our hurricane recovery event. We reached out to Habitat for Humanity. There are so many others that we are now bringing into the fold, because it's going to take all of us to actually change the home ownership numbers here in Houston. But we have to have a starting point, and so that starting point is educating African Americans that they can own a home regardless of where they are now. No today doesn't mean no always, but if you educate yourself, get the information that you need, properly begin to budget, understand the programs that are out there that can help you to get into a home, then you'll be well on your way. But we don't want to just put them in a home, Shad. We want to make sure that they're able to maintain that home so that they understand proper insurance, so we don't have the thing that we had with Harvey, that the disaster comes and takes away that asset. Then we want to make sure that they're able to transfer the asset that they have to future generations, so that we're closing the wealth gap. Not only putting people in homes, but we're closing that huge wealth gap in the African American community.
Well, you know, it's a pleasure and my honor to be a part of your organization, and I appreciate what you guys are doing in regards to home ownership for everyone out there, not just African Americans, but everyone. And that's the only way to build strong neighborhoods, to build strong schools. You got to have that home ownership factor in place. Let me ask you a question. You guys do a seminar or home buying fair every other month or once a month. Tell us a little bit about that, and when's the next event?
Well, our next event that's coming up is going to be our 2 and 5 event, and we're going to have a focus on veterans. Everyone who needs a home, who have problems, are invited. But because November, you know, of course, the 11th is Veterans Day, so on the 4th, we're a little bit early, but we're going to be honoring our veterans. And so that will be a great opportunity for those who are looking for a home. If you currently have a home and you have a problem, or you need more information, don't think because my credit is bad, I'm already in foreclosure, that I don't have any options. There are options available to you under one roof that day. You'll be able to get all the information you need to put you on the right track. You'll have an opportunity to enter into the 2 million and 5 program, where you will have real estate professionals walk you through the process from beginning to end, whatever your need is, whether it's obtaining a home, maintaining a home, or learning how to properly transfer that asset.
Well, thank you, Kimberly. We're going to take a quick break. You're looking at Inside Houston. We will be back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. We're going to continue to give you the latest information on real estate here in the Houston area.